Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for our Talent Toolbox event on Upwork Groups, the place to connect and network. Please note that this event is being recorded and will be available to review in the coming days on the community events page. I'm going to drop that link in the chat right now. Feel free to bookmark that site. It's got some fantastic content. Now, my name is Will. I'm an event manager here at Upwork, and walking us through this awesome group program today is Bethany, Senior Manager of the Community Experience here at Upwork. Thank you so much for joining us today, Bethany. I really appreciate it. We are also fortunate to be joined by some of our awesome group guides who are going to share their experience in various groups that they facilitate. First, we have Hannah, who is a group guide for Kenya, and also a fantastic virtual assistant and independent professional on Upwork. Next up, we have Vlad, who, in addition to being a group guide for the Serbia group, is also Bethany's partner in helping manage the whole group's program. And then representing China group, we have Xin, or Raymond, who is a top-rated mechanical engineer on Upwork. And thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. I'm really looking forward to learning more about your experiences as group guides in these various spaces. And for those joining as attendees here, feel free to drop in any comments in the general or the Q&A section. We try to keep this engaging. We will have a Q&A session at the end. And let's go ahead and dive in. So our agenda today has three separate parts. We're going to start off by hearing from Bethany on what these group guides, what these groups actually are. And then we're going to be hearing from our individual group guides on what specifically has been going on in their groups and how it supports those who participate in them. And finally, we're going to dive into how to get involved in these groups and get the most from our experiences there. So first off, what are groups? Bethany, can you walk us through what exactly these groups are?
Yeah, thanks so much, Will. And thank you for inviting me and giving me time to share today. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to talk about some of the exciting things happening in a unique part of the business, community groups. As we become a platform for continuous career innovation, we're always looking for ways to dive deeper into relationships and connection. And the value of connection in our day is important to our health, and it's vital to our happiness and success. Feeling connected makes us better, makes our community better, and is life-giving for everyone. We know that our community is having conversations about work, our platform, products, and more, but most often they've been having these conversations traditionally on other platforms. And our goal with groups is to bring those conversations home to our platform, and we are doing so by creating online hubs that provide our community with a home base. We are striving to provide talent and clients with the sense of connection and belonging. There's a famous and fascinating study out of Harvard spanning decades that concluded that the happiest people were those that had great relationships and felt connected to others. We know that authentic connection leads to a greater sense of purpose, fulfillment, and success. Upwork community groups are for anyone and everyone. They can be public or private or closed groups, and we have a vast assortment of all of those types. Now, the success of a group often, but not always, directly correlates to the person or persons guiding the group, and we call them group guides. You'll be hearing from some of the best shortly. Some of our most successful community groups are location-based groups. 6 of these groups have over 5,000 members, and 2 of those groups have over 10,000 members. Shout out to India, Philippines, United States, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Ukraine, and Egypt and Kenya are very close to joining those ranks. And if you hopped into any of those groups, you'd see some encouraging results. Our community is now having those conversations on our platform. Upwork freelancers are grateful to have an online home where they are networking, self-organizing, collaborating, and most groups will feature predominantly user-generated content. But like most things that are meaningful to us in our lives, what we put in has a direct correlation to what we get out. If you continue showing up and engaging in the group, you're likely to get a lot of value out of it, and you never know what opportunities it could lead to. A great example is a story last year about a retired veteran. He joined our U.S. Veterans and Families group. He shared that he was retired and looking for an additional way to earn income for his family. And when an exciting opportunity arose with the Wall Street Journal to feature a retired veteran, we knew exactly who to highlight. And we would only know who to highlight because he shared his story. Had he not shared his story in a group, we would never have known his particular experience and his story. And now there's an article about him featured in the Wall Street Journal. So I would encourage all of you to jump in a group and share your stories.
That's so cool. That's a very, very cool story. A good question and topical here I wanted to quickly bring up. All the groups primarily geographic based?
Yeah, on the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about that, which we can dive into if you want to go right into the next one. Yeah, so in 2022, we launched the program. So last year, we launched over 100 community groups and welcomed over 110,000 freelancers to our new groups space. The community events team partnered with 9 group guides to host 15 events, predominantly online, to further foster connection in groups. And one incredible element that we're really excited about is the ability for groups to communicate in their native languages. Currently, over 20 different languages are spoken within the community groups program. And we champion connection across several different categories of groups. To your point, Will, like, are they mostly location? While they are predominantly, over 50% of our groups are location-based groups, we also have groups that champion connection across different identities, industries, interests, impact, and then of course our location-based groups. So examples of identity groups might be our women's group, our Hispanic and Latinx group, our newest group for the global Black community called Black Future, or the U.S. Veterans and Families group. Those are all great examples of identity groups, and we're just beginning to explore, just getting started with that. So just beginning to explore new opportunities there. Industry groups example might be engineering or writing, design, customer service. We have lots of industry groups. We just launched marketing. Of course, I'm always recruiting. If you have an industry you don't see and want to help lead that, let us know. Interest groups like crypto, or our newest one launching soon for AI and machine learning. We're discussing ever evolving technology like ChatGPT. That group will be launching later this month. So stay tuned there for interest groups. Impact group, we'd love to have more in this area, people working in the nonprofit sector. Location-based groups, we have over 50 country groups and over 20 city groups, and new groups launch each month, and we hope you'll join in engaging in the conversations, shaping our community.
That's so cool. There's so many groups going all sorts of different directions. It's exciting to see all the different ways we can connect. So to the point of, I forget who exactly was asking in the chat, but it is not just geographically based. It is industry based, as Bethany was saying, and different interest based. So cool. We got many different ways to slice it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we can be a part of multiple groups. We don't have to just pick one, right?
The more the merrier. We want you a part of lots and lots of groups. Great question.
Okay, perfect. So I'd like to hear from our group guides next on what's been going on in their various groups. To start off with, Hannah, it's great to have you join us today. Sorry you had a bit of a power outage there, but it's been a minute since we've last had a chance to chat.
Thank you, Will. Those who live in Nairobi know that we don't usually have lots of power outages, but I think where the apartment where I stayed, that we've had some problems because there's just been some problem. I had power the whole time we had the meeting earlier, and then now I don't know what happened. Yeah,
that's so good. I really appreciate you pivoting to join us.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah. Now it looks like you've been a group guide for this chapter since April of last year. Now, what was your primary motivation on taking on this role as a group guide for Kenya?
Okay, so for me, it was mostly an opportunity to meet fellow Kenyan freelancers, to hear about their experiences, how to work better together, because of course, people have different experiences. Freelancing is not sort of like here in Kenya, it's not like something that has been here for years and years. So hearing what people experience as they do freelance work as opposed to going to a 9 to 5 was very interesting to me. And then, of course, another thing is I just wanted to be helpful. because of course people are always asking questions about how to improve, how to get on the platform. So I thought being as a Kenya group guide would give me an opportunity to also help and serve. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I can relate to that. I think everyone here can relate to that. I've noticed as part of Upwork how supportive the community is as a whole in every way that I've engaged with it. So it's great. We're on the same page there. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what goes on in your specific group?
Mostly like.
Oh, I think we'll come back to Hannah. I think internet betrayed her. So we'll go ahead. We'll come back once she's able to jump online here. So I'm going to move on to Vlad. Vlad, I've not had the pleasure of visiting Serbia yet, but I'm not going to lie. When I was checking out some famous landmarks to create this slide, it's a stunning country. I think I need to amend my travel plans this summer and come visit. So let's hear about your experiences as a group guide in this sector. What motivated you to take on this role?
Thank you, Will. So first of all, you're always welcome to travel to Serbia and to also neighboring countries and just experience a different vibe. When it comes to being a group guide, I kind of felt responsible since together with Bethany, we are developing the group guide program. I felt responsible to represent the role, but also to be as entrenched into everything
Sorry,
we do.
we got cut off. I don't know what happened. Sorry about that.
No problem. No problem, Hannah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up with Vlad and then circle back to you if that's okay.
No problem. Yeah, that's fine. Perfect.
Thank you. Thanks, Hannah. So yeah, I wanted to make sure I do kind of play the role for Serbia, where I'm based, as well as kind of have a first-hand experience into what our group guides are faced with, all the conversations, all the benefits, all the obstacles. So I could also help improve on the processes we have on our end when developing more groups and when developing all the processes related to group guides. So yeah, it was kind of, I should take the driver's seat for the feature that together with Bethany we are developing. So yeah, it made sense.
Absolutely. Now, what have you experienced personally by participating in this group that you feel you may not have encountered elsewhere?
Yes. So, sorry, my son just barged in, so that's...
Welcome to the group.
Hi, Costa. Yeah. We always say it's sponsored by, this event is sponsored by Costa.
Yeah. That's a real life event now. So that I feel that I'm sharing this experience with a lot of freelancers who are kind of having a home office setup like I do. Give me just 1 second.
No problem.
We love kids.
That reminds me of a prompt. I believe we do have a dad's group and a mom's group. Is that correct?
We have an Upwork Families group, and the Upwork Families group hosted an event last year for Father's Day and had hundreds of dads that are active freelancers on the platform join Vlad and our group guides for the Families group last year. It was a really successful event, and they talked about their challenges, like as working dads from home and how they balance being present with their children and also providing for their families. And Vlad did such an incredible job with that event. And yeah, that's a really unique thing you'll find in the group space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Bethany, for jumping in to kind of fill in while I'm dealing with everything. Sorry, Will, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, not a problem. I was just curious, what have you experienced by participating in your group that you feel you may not have encountered elsewhere?
Yeah. So first of all, the first things first, what Bethany mentioned earlier, offering support in local language is one of the primary benefits of using groups, because although we all speak English, different level of proficiencies, of course, but there are some conversations that are more comfortable and make more sense being managed in a local language, especially when it has to do with certain processes like paying taxes or discussing certain approaches that have to do with like your local situation and your kind of local variables. So I would say having that ability is something that I've never had anywhere else, coupled with the support that we are getting for experienced community members, for the Serbia group, experienced Upworkers located from Serbia who are able to provide that insight, and also our moderation team, as well as Bethany and I coming in to help as much as possible and provide even local information and resources. That's something that I haven't been able to experience anywhere else, not even in like local Upwork related Facebook and other social media groups. So yeah, I would say that's the biggest takeaway. Although historically, even though we had a similar Serbia forum like in 2016 and 17, I would say that freelancers from Serbia are community shy for the most part. We do get a lot of lurkers, judging from the metrics, but yeah, we don't get as much as participation. But for example, one of the biggest topics we discussed at the tail end of last year is the tax information page update and all the implications it has locally for the freelancers who are earning and receiving their payment here in Serbia. So yeah, teaming up and sharing resources along with other freelancers felt really great.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and I totally agree that a lot can get lost in translation as you translate.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any hopes or specific objectives for your group this year?
Definitely, like the first three places is increased activity for the benefit of users. So getting more local freelancers looking at the group, participating as well, but just looking at the group, because the information we have there and the information other group members can provide can definitely help everybody build on their success on Upwork and build on their approach to contracts and to offering their services. That is true for newbies, Shin, but also for experienced freelancers, especially from categories that are really dynamic, like programming and such.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm excited to see what happens, and I can definitely relate to what you said about people lurking in groups. I am notorious for that. I'll join groups, and as I may not seem shy because I do events like these, but when I get in groups or forums, I'm usually just waiting, lurking in the background. So I'm working on that too. So I'm gonna circle back to Hannah. Hannah, you with us?
Yes, I am.
Lovely. So glad you're able to join back with us. Thank you.
Mhm.
I think we left off on what's going on in your specific groups. What
Mhm.
types of things are you guys chatting about in there?
How to get more work, how to set up your profile, payment issues, and also people sharing experiences and tips, especially for those who are the first timers, like the so-called newbies. We share about how you can set yourself up so that you're more visible to clients. What's the most important thing? For example, giving tips about having a great GSS score is very important. Not giving up, because a lot of people try. I've spoken to lots of people even outside, who tell me they join the group, they join the platform, but then they feel like they're not getting work as fast as they expected. So just encouraging each other, don't give up. I think that was the first thing that I noticed with the group, like very positive, always sharing ideas and tips. And so we have very little negativity. Yeah. So that's something I really love about our group.
That's great to hear that. And it's a common archetype hurdle that many new freelancers, regardless of if you're on this platform or out in the wild or wherever you are, anytime starting up a new business, including on Upwork, it can be challenging to land those first few jobs. And sometimes you can feel, especially if you're on your own, like, am I doing this right? Or am I going a bit crazy? So I think it's so great to hear that you're having those discussions and supporting one another and motivating to get past that hurdle of that first job. Now,
Yeah.
what have you experienced personally by participating in your group that you think maybe you wouldn't have encountered elsewhere?
A sense of belonging, like especially when we have the virtual huddles, because I haven't attended in person. Being able, I find it so interesting for us to be able to speak, like, for example, in our lingua franca, which is Swahili. Of course, English is used for official and formal settings in school, in offices, but then being able to speak in Swahili and sometimes in sort of colloquially, in a language we call Sheng, where people are able to properly interact. That makes people feel like they belong. You're talking about things that are the same, whether you live in Nairobi or Mombasa or in other cities in Kenya. Yeah, so that sense of belonging, shared experiences, where people talk about how long they've been on the platform, what hurdles they've had to overcome as a Kenyan, and all that makes me feel like this is a very unique opportunity for me, both as a group guide and as a member of the community group.
That's fantastic. Now, can you think of any specific examples where your group was able to support its members overcome any specific issue or achieve success?
Yes, there have been many where we've shared tips and ideas, but the one that comes to mind that is forefront in my mind is payment withdrawal issue. So there's someone who talked about how, actually it was during the last huddle that we had, I think it was around November of last year, and a lady shared about how she had lots of challenges trying to withdraw money. And I had a similar experience, and a few other people had that experience, especially when we are new. So some of the tips we shared were actually extremely helpful to her. Like, for example, just advising someone to not withdraw on, for example, Sundays or public holidays when both Kenyan banks and US banks are closed. And then, of course, Sunday is a day when things are a little bit slow. So you wouldn't expect, let's say, even for someone to reach out and tell you what could be the problem. So we actually shared a lot of tips about time and everything. And the lady came back and actually said she was able to get the help that she needed, and then so that to curtail the problem of having to go to someone to help externally, like to identify the problem.
That's great. That's so cool that such a supportive community and so active. And I've been noticing you got over 3,000, I think close to 4,000 members in your group there. I've been noticing in a lot of my events, there's been a lot more representation from Kenya showing up and coming to learn and share their experiences. I love seeing that. Now, let me ask you, Hannah, do you have any hopes or objectives that you'd like to see happen for your group this year?
Yes, I want, just like Vlad said, like better participation and more meaningful, sort of more organic interactions, because sometimes I think whenever you're starting something, there's always sort of the shyness. People don't want to switch on their cameras. Some people will take up more time to speak. So just feeling like there should be more organic, discussions. People should feel free and open, not to fear, like, if I ask a question, do I look dumb? If I share a tip, am I hogging the space? And then, of course, but not least, is hearing of more success stories, especially in our group of people getting more work, having more consistent work. Those are things I look forward to hearing at the end of 2023, to just have better interactions and more work to my fellow freelancers.
Yeah, I completely hear you on that one. I'll tell you, one of the most rewarding aspects of my position here is I'll sometimes get messages from freelancers that I've seen, attend a few of the events, and they'll find me and message me and say, hey, I took the advice one of your speakers had on session, XYZ a couple months ago. I landed my first job. I've got 3 more lined up. It worked. Thank you. And I love hearing that. And it really motivates me to keep finding more interesting things to talk about and different people to highlight the different initiatives. So same page there. Thank you so much, Hannah.
Most welcome.
All right, let's go over to Jin or Raymond. You support the group for located in China here, and it's a pleasure having you join us today. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you were actually asked to become an additional group guide for this segment due to the fact that you were engaging in a very active way. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Because the other group lead, Simon, when we start the China community, I saw his post and then I answered it immediately. It's like I was like a really big surprise because it has been such a long time, and we have a new group. So I'm kind of my personality is kind of funny, so I answer him something funny. So he grabbed me in, as I was like, this is awesome.
That's great. I love it when people bring their personality to what they do. I do the same thing in my freelancing. I try to bring it to events like this, but it's nice to have a bit of personality in what you do. And I think it makes for more authentic connections with people and more meaningful conversations. Now, can you tell me a little bit about what's going on in your group?
Okay, so recently we realized one thing is because, for example, I get review and approve some of the new people come in, or the newbie come in, right? So I realized some of them do not go through the Upwork Academy properly. So someone have really, I don't say really awful profile setting, because I have the same experience already, because after 2 years I joined Upwork, I go through the Upwork Academy. The first time I go through mainly the first 4 course. I recite my portfolio, get my order rate correct, then my job opportunity is going up. So I realized this is really important and really useful too. So I think the first thing is we right now try to translate, because right now the basic language is English. We try to translate the content to Chinese to have the people at least they will review it, because right now the level is going fast. Someone just take a look on the page, it's boring, then they just move away. But they don't realize, I don't want they make the same mistake I have made before, missed a really important thing, really important information that is already there. They just need to go through there, because we have been asked this kind of question every single day. How I can grab more job, why I cannot get a job post, cannot get a contract. So my first answer is take a look on your profile first. Is that looks professional? Is that your icon? Because I see a lot of people have the icon is like from cartoon, because if I'm some clients, so there's two people. One is with suit and professional looking. The other one with the icon. I probably hire the people with the suit. Probably it depends on, of course, depends on type of the job. So this is the first thing we are right now. I think is a high priority. We try to finish in beginning of this year.
That's great, making that more accessible. And I, like you, had a similar experience when I first started freelancing as a graphic designer 4 or 5 years ago. I was not aware of the events. I was not aware of the learning content and all the supporting stuff that Upwork creates for the community, such as things like this. And it took me much longer to ramp up to a feeling of, ooh, I'm in a good space. I feel confident that I can get jobs. And then as soon as I got to that point, I realized, oh, look at all these fantastic resources I could have been referencing, and all the stuff that took me 6 months to learn, I could have learned in about a week, maybe 2. So it's I feel so glad that so many people are joining events like this and partaking in the Academy. I posted a link, I think Bethany did too, in the chat here for the Academy. Fantastic resources. Highly recommend you bookmark it if you're curious about how to write proposals, how to frame your profile, how to create an agency, you name it. There's all sorts of fantastic resources there. Now, Xin, can you tell me about a specific example where your group was able to support its members to overcome an issue or achieve success in some way?
Okay, so basically right now our group is not that active yet, because I don't know, it's more like people keep asking some really basic question. But the one thing is more like I get this kind of post, not really a lot, but I get some said, I'm not alone anymore. it's more like they found a group can talk with them in their mother language. So I don't see really big advantage, but it's more like we can support them in our mother language, so get them better understand what their issue is and how they can solve the problem. Again, the most asked the question is like they said how we can set up get more successful on Upwork. So Simon also write the post regularly about the tips for the new people, the newbies, how to set something right, how to write a good proposal. I think it's partially it's like Upwork Academy content. And right now we just if there's a new guy come here, then I will recommend them to take a look on the course first, then come back to ask more questions, so which is more easier for their life.
Yeah, that's a good workflow there. And also teaching, sort of guiding people to be able to self-serve and find the information they need and be able to troubleshoot their own problems, and then hopefully bring that information back to the group and help support other people that are new to as well.
Yep.
Thank you so much. And I know that one of your objectives, as you alluded to earlier, is to help translate a lot of the Academy content into your native tongue there, so people can more easily adopt that information. That is a big job, and thank you so much for taking that on.
It's not only me. Right now, 3 of us is doing the job. So basically, I build a big structure because I take just the index right now. I put on the post, said if everyone interested, they just take a look into the content. So we want to see some of the content they are interested. But then later on, we try to make more because, as I said, everyone is in a hurry right now. So I want them to grab as much information as possible in a short period of time, so they can get more successful. Then they can like better their financial situation, or know some more people, or build their business here, real business here. So this is the target we have. I think it's everyone's target here to help others. This is the key. Community, my understanding is you come here, you help others, then you get help from others. I think this is
could not agree with you more. That is so very well put. Thank you so much for sharing. I have one more group that I'd like to highlight here, and that's our awesome Brazil group. Now, Hugo Roger, I believe, is our group guide here, and unfortunately he had a last-minute conflict and is unable to join us, but I still want to take a minute to highlight this group since I hear there's been some really cool stuff going on there. Bethany, would you be able to walk us through a little bit about what's been going on in the Brazil group?
Yeah, thank you so much, Will. And shout out to Hugo Roger, not able to make our call today because he is a busy freelancer who got another great opportunity, but we're so grateful for Hugo. Hugo and his family are based out of Brazil, and he is a dad. He's got 2 little ones. He works so hard for his family, and he also just really cares about his community. Like so many of you on this call, he wants to feel connected. He wants to feel really an enhanced a sense of meaning in his day and connecting with other people that are having a shared experience. Also being at Upworkers in Brazil. So he raised his hand, said, I'd love to volunteer to lead the Upwork freelancer community in Brazil. And he's just got over 2,000 people in that group. And he raised his hand and said, I want to start having events. He started hosting online events. Out of all our group guides, he hosted the most online events last year, and he hosted 2 talent huddles in person, which is incredible. He's a great example of the power of not giving up and what happens when you keep showing up. And again, like what I said earlier, what you put in is what you get out. The first couple online meetings he had, he just said, like, I'd really like to connect with other Upwork freelancers in Brazil. Not a lot of people showed up to those meetings. They weren't really sure what it was about. They were kind of more lurking and looking than actually participating. And Hugo said, you know what? I'm not going to get discouraged. I'm going to keep having these online events. I'm going to keep showing up for my community here in Brazil. And now he has monthly events. He has lots of people that join online, with only starting last year and having 2 in-person events. I venture to guess he'll have some more this year, in-person events. But Hugo's just a great story of resilience and persistence and what happens when you believe in your community and you raise your hand and volunteer and you keep showing up. And he's gotten business from this. He's had great connections, and he's also gotten the great satisfaction of being able to help others, where he's able to watch others connect, watch others see opportunities blossom and bloom like right before his eyes. And so that really enhanced sense of satisfaction in his day-to-day work because of the power of connection and community. So just want to say again, we're so grateful to have Hugo. And I also saw some folks from Brazil in the chat. So to anybody that's in Brazil, yeah, thank you for being a part of our incredible growing community there too.
That's so cool. Thank you very much for sharing. And Hugo, hopefully you get a chance to see the recording, and we appreciate all you do.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we know what the groups are and what we can expect when participating in them, how exactly do we get involved with them, Vlad? And do you have any advice for us on how to optimize our experience when engaging in these groups?
Yes. I just want to mention that there are a lot of great comments in chat, and some of them are related to access to groups that are not currently available. We'll touch base on that in the subsequent segment of this meeting. But for now, it's really easy to become a community member. If you're an Upwork member, you can just go to your Upwork account and select Upwork Community, or via your browser, access the community, log in with your account details, and boom, you have a community profile. Once you have a community profile, you can join all public groups and request to join or all private groups or closed groups. So those groups are the ones that are usually location specific, so geo groups. And a group guide will soon follow up to approve your access if you're located, for example, within that location, or if you meet the other criteria related to the main topic of the group. So when that covered like registering on the Upwork community, it's really easy as one click on your Upwork account or logging in your browser by accessing the community forums directly. Finding and joining groups, you can just select the group menu, and you will have all the publicly available and closed groups displayed there, and you can continue populating more groups by using the more button, because we already have 100 plus groups available. So you are sure to find your either location group or category group or skill group. And if you don't find it, wait until the next slide to learn how you can request a group.
Fantastic. And I think, we've said it a couple times throughout this presentation. I just want to take a minute to second the thought. We were talking about lurking in groups and staying quiet, or being a bit shy to speak up. You don't want to either appear too pushy or appear too ignorant. This is a nurturing group. You may be able to tell from the chat section right now that we're all here to support each other. Everyone here has a voice, and as long as we're being constructive and positive with one another, engage. Tell us what you're experiencing. I got a win because I did this, or I'm having trouble getting past this hurdle. Does anyone have any recommendations? So don't be afraid to reach out and communicate. We're all here to help support each other. Now, Vlad, to your point, we know how we can participate in the existing groups. So the logical next question is, what if I want to start a new group? Maybe there's a new segment that's not represented, or maybe there's a new geographic location that I really want to spearhead and lead the community in my area. How do I go about doing that?
Yeah, thanks, Phil, for that question. So we do have an online form available within community guidelines, as well on the group page itself at the bottom, which you can use to fill in and submit a request to create a group on a certain topic. It can be even on an interest-related topic, like we have Upwork Music, for example. If you have any interest that's not necessarily directly related to your freelancing career, like your music interest or sports interest. Somebody in chat just recently proposed creating a sport-related group. So feel free to request any group of that topic. Just make sure to use your Upwork account email address and fill in the bio, fill in a few more information which are really vital for us when reviewing all the requests. We are dedicated and will review each and every request that comes in, but we'll move forward creating the groups that we shortlist, and we will be following up with the users whose requests are being whose requested groups are being created and launched. So, and we will be following up. We already have a backlog of requests, so it might take a month, it might take more than a month, depending on like our availability and on the number of requests coming in. But we are doing everything on our end to enable all the groups that, or most of the groups that our community is requesting.
It's so good. It's such a good problem to have that so many people are keen to
Yes.
set up groups and create community. Sorry, it looked like you're about to say something. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Apologies, Will. I just wanted to mention that by requesting to create a group, the user is volunteering to be the leader of their group, so to be a group guide, which makes sense since just having a group without the lead can hinder its activity and its progression. So make sure you are willing to lead the group that you are proposing, and feel free to propose a co-lead for the group, because in our experience, having 2 or 3 group guides is the best chance scenario, which will ensure the activity gets, the group gets the required amount of attention, and all the group guides spend their time developing the group and communicating with other group members, approving requests for closed groups. So yeah, just make sure you are willing to lead a group if you're requesting one. And we will follow up with additional information and additional material that we share with group guides, which help them understand what they are kind of faced with, how they can communicate, and additional channels of communication with us and with other group guides, along with other benefits that we also share with group guides.
That's fantastic, and thank you for calling out that fact. So just to reiterate, so that there's no confusion at all, if you are filling out that form, it is in essence not just asking to create the group, but it is also volunteering to help guide the group. Is that correct?
Yes, that
okay,
is correct.
Perfect. So hope everyone got that, and we look forward to seeing all the different groups. But as Vlad mentioned, there is a lot of interest and a small group processing. So be patient with us if you've reached out. And let me go ahead. I think we've got a little bit of time for Q&A. I see we've had a lovely engaging chat channel here. So before I switch to the Q&A, I just wanted to leave a note with you here. When we close out this session in about 10-15 minutes, in your email inbox will be a follow-up survey, sort of like when you complete a project for a client and you really want their feedback. Me too. It helps me figure out what do we need to talk about, what are the points of conversation that need to come up and hurdles we need to overcome. So when we close out here in about 10-15, do please check your email for that survey, and any feedback is greatly appreciated. So let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. We're going to go ahead and dump into some Q&A. Thank you so much for our attendees also helping in the chat channel here. I really appreciate it. Let's take a look. I'm hearing quite a few folks saying that X, Y, or Z group is maybe not as interactive as you'd like. And as we'd mentioned before, what you put in, you get out. So I highly recommend, if you are not seeing the level of engagement or the topics come up that you'd like to talk about, I suggest you bring it up and say, hey, can we talk about this? Or, hey, no one here is really talking about profiles. I'd really like to talk about how to get my profile better. Be the change you wish to see, I think would be some good advice, yeah? Great question here. Can an Upwork freelancer add other freelancers to their personal network from the group? Fantastic question. Bethany, Vlad, would one of you like to touch on that topic?
Go ahead, Vlad.
Let me,
Apologies, Will. I was responding to somebody. Can you please read that question again?
no worries. It's a great question. Say, can an Upwork freelancer add another freelancer to their personal network directly from a group? Because I know that the community is technically a different side than the Upwork marketplace where your network is. I don't know if they talk to each other yet. I know it's a goal, but do you know if they can make that connection currently?
That's an awesome question, because I don't want to share in advance, but we are working on something which will be related only to community groups and the ability to add freelancers to your team and possibly subsequently to your agency. It's not available at the moment. It's work in progress, but that's a great question. And we are looking forward to sharing more information as soon as that option becomes available.
Fantastic. Another great question here. Is managing a group for Upwork a full-time or a part-time job? What's the level of involvement that you typically see required?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So managing a community group is a volunteer based job right now, and we want everybody to check in with that group at least once a day and just like see what's going on and in the chatter in that group. But we ask that our group guides post once a week. We really encourage them posting, but we also recognize our group guides are busy. They're like Vlad and myself. They're parents. We all volunteer in our communities, so we recognize that life happens as well. But again, back to like what you put in is what you get out, and we want our group guides to be really engaged and involved, but we also understand that life happens. So connecting in once a day, posting once a week. We also have wonderful tools to support our group guides, like bi-monthly meetings. We have today we had a group guide meeting this morning where Vlad and I make ourselves available to be really present and support our group guides and what they hope to achieve in their groups, from planning events to troubleshooting problems or questions, to thinking about interesting topics and things that might get conversations going and started. But thank you. It's just so wonderful. Great questions coming in the chat, and so grateful for everybody's really active participation today. It's been really incredible.
Yeah, fantastic. And there's quite a few questions that are leaning more towards how can I land more jobs and how can I improve my presentation. I'm not going to dive into those questions on this event, but I will suggest you take that question and you place it in a lovely new group that you're going to join and see what our peers are doing. I know from my experience, when I was first building my graphic design business as a freelancer, I was a little bit lost on what should I be charging? What sort of clients should I be reaching for? What sort of segment should I niche down into? And I'm alone in my room and I didn't have anyone to ask. And having a forum where I could speak to other graphic designers or other people located geographically where I'm at, I could ask those questions and feel a little bit more comfortable about my choices. So I wish this was around when I was first starting out. And I know it's such a valuable resource. So all that to say, those questions that are specific on maybe the more nitty gritty, I would suggest you take those questions and bring them to the groups. And also, we linked earlier, but I'm going to link it again because I love it so much. The Upwork Academy is also on the community side where groups are located. And this is a fantastic tool. These are sort of on-demand videos and little, test your learning sort of thing. This doesn't connect to your profile. No one will be able to see that you have or have not done these trainings. This is purely for your own education and enrichment, but there is fantastic information in there. And maybe you can take some of those learnings to the groups and help support some of our fellow freelancers there. Let me see if we have a few more questions to jump into. All right. Thank you for all the love in the chat, folks, about this topic. I'm so glad to see everyone's as excited about it as we are. Just a great comment from Allison I wanted to call out. Just told my husband how happy I am to be part of this international community of energetic people. Makes the world feel smaller and much more optimistic. Thank you, Upwork. Allison, I could not have said that better myself. That's exactly the vibe I think we're going for. All right. Will we ever organize international in-person events? That is a great question. And I think probably not something we can answer on this call, but I do want to call it out. I know that there are the beginning of some in-person get-togethers on some groups. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bethany. Hugo's Brazil group is the only one that's done it in person so far that we're aware of.
Yeah, to our knowledge, she's the only one that's done an in-person one, but you are welcome to organize them. We are always looking for volunteers. We are full-time recruiters, also looking for people to volunteer. And if you have a group, we also are also looking for co-guides. So maybe there is a group for your country or your city or your industry, but you never know. That person also might want a co-leader, or we have lots of groups that not just one person leads, but a group of, and we know that many hands make a light load. So you could always reach out and say, I'm also interested in helping, lead this group, and I've got great ideas for this group, and or I want to have an event. So don't wait on a leader to plan an event. Reach out, tell them you want to plan an event, and we're happy to help and support that too.
Definitely. And I think the fact that, the people we have on this call here, we're all independent professionals. We all have our own business, whether it's just us on our own, or maybe we have a group of people with us, but we're all self-starters here, or else you wouldn't be a freelancer. So take that same energy and invest it into whatever you'd like to see, using these groups as a great vehicle. There was a good question or comment brought up by Laura as well. She's seeking an accountability partner. I love that. I mentioned earlier that a lot of us are working on our own silo in our own little empty room. No offense to my dog, she doesn't count as a coworker. But I think finding people that you can have that level of accountability and challenge each other, motivate each other. To me, that is one of the things that has been most beneficial in connecting with fellow freelancers. Love my mom and dad, love my wife, but they don't have the same experience that I have. They don't have the same stresses or victories or understanding of the nuances of business that we all have doing the same sort of thing. So I think that's a great thing to seek out in these groups. And let's say also, to take that a little bit further, let's say that someone is looking to find someone to partner with, like I'm a graphic designer and I'm looking for a coder, because with our powers combined, we could do something really cool. Groups are a reasonable or viable way where we can find those people and start those types of connections or agencies if we want.
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't sure who was taking that question. I'll jump right in. And I did see also just even today, I saw like in the Pakistan group, like someone was saying like, I have an Upwork agency and I'm looking to hire for my Upwork agency. So you're going to see a lot more, and Vlad can speak to this probably better than me, but you're going to see a lot more direction and support in how we can help support the agency world in the groups, in the group sections as well. So Vlad, anything you want to jump on with that? Like how we're supporting agencies and where we're leaning to go?
Yes. So as always, Upwork is striving to streamline all the features and all the processes. We are looking into developing further our agency model, and we are in part leaning on feedback received from community groups and from community members to impact how that final product will look, because agency owners, agency members, as well as my network, users that have my network access, which is currently limited, are the best people to provide that insight into like the possible obstacles, the benefits, what they would like to see, what they wouldn't like to see part of that process. So it's a work in progress. We do allow communication in community groups that is usually not allowed in general community forums, and we do allow users to interact and connect and provide information that will allow them to add each other to like each other's agencies and to form agencies. And we are seeing a lot of those conversations in a lot of groups, and we do support that because currently that's the only way. But we are working on making community groups a hub for that my network and agency conversations, and that's something which is really exciting and which we will hopefully be able to speak in at a much greater length.
Definitely, thank you. And I know as a little sneak peek, I'm thinking next month I'm looking to host an event sort of around that topic of how we can help find other professionals to create that agency or team or whatever that looks like. So work in progress, stay tuned, but it's going to be good. All right, folks. I think we're just about at the end of the questions here. There was one last question, sorry, I wanted to touch on about the in-person events as a follow-up. We do have some ambassadors around the world. We don't have them in every city. We don't have them in every location. But there are some in-person events that are just starting to turn back on. I know one of our newest group guides, Carrie, I believe her name, ambassadors in London, I believe Carrie is her name. She is starting to host some in-person events. That's a sort of a new market that's really developing there. So if you're in London or around, keep an eye out for those. I know that I think we're in the process of onboarding for India as well, Mumbai, if I'm not mistaken. So some of these ambassadors in different locations will be offering some in-person events. But in the meantime, or in lieu of that, if there's not one in your location, groups is absolutely the place for you. So I just want to say thank you so much to our speakers and our lovely group guides for taking the time to come join us. Shane, I know it's in the middle of the night for you. I really appreciate you waking up or staying up, whichever one it is, to go ahead and help us. But I really appreciate you sharing with us. And I really hope that all the attendees here take to heart this participation and engagement, and we can really see some enrichment in this and lift each other up as independent professionals. So thank you so much, Bethany, Vlad, Hannah, Shane, Raymond. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you out in the community. And to everyone else on the attendee side, thank you for joining. Please note there is a email survey in your inbox. 2 minutes to give us a bit of feedback would really help. So thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye for now.